someone who has been coming to Dent for years is our next speaker. What's really amazing, and talk about a great example of what I was talking about at the very beginning, being that the people in the seats next to you absolutely deserve to be up here. There is really, truly not a better example than Dingo. And not just his own personal story and, what we tell of our own journeys, but just in terms of like the kind of person that he is every single day, so effortlessly, even though I'm sure it does not feel effortless some days, especially in his newer role. But I absolutely could not be more thrilled to hand the baton over to
Dan, I think I clocked you in at 3,212 saying love, so I'm going to try to top that if I could in my talk. And I might bring some things to this talk about how at Special Olympics we do incorporate love, we do incorporate kindness, and it has contributed to our tenure. On my senior management team, our average tenure is 28 years. It is incredible. And so today I want to tell you, I've just got some pictures. I'm going to tell you some stories about how our athletes teach us every day, about how our athletes lead us, about how our athletes demonstrate love, leadership, compassion, empowerment, all the things, with some stories along the way. But I'll start. My parents, I'm the youngest of 7. My parents were not young when I was born. I'm sure I was an oops baby, no doubt. In fact, I confirmed it. But they taught each of us to do what you love. Make sure that whatever you do fulfills you. Not to worry about the other things that you should be doing, but do what you love. And I've tried to take that to heart. And in fact, I've only worked at a few places in my entire life. My father passed away when I was a junior at William & Mary, and he died of a heart attack. And so I said, I want to do something, I want to give back. So I decided to ride along with a friend through New England. I was a cyclist for quite a bit, and we raised some money for the American Heart Association. Rode a few thousand miles, raised a few $1,000s. And it was really fulfilling for me. I loved it. I connected with the people at the American Heart Association. And then I went to the Peace Corps. I was in Morocco in the Peace Corps, and loved that. Loved that I was able to be there, but really learned then and have continued to learn that when I'm amongst those who are unlike me, I learn so much about myself and about them. So I continue to try to place myself in those kinds of situations. And then one day I was riding the bike again after I came back to the States. I actually got a job at the American Heart Association because I'd stayed in touch with them. And I was out riding my bike one day. I'd trained out, out in Goochland somewhere. I was coming back in, University of Richmond on a June afternoon. And I saw this sign that said Special Olympics, stop in. I went, what the heck? I know nothing about Special Olympics. I have no idea what they do. I mean, I know what many of us know. They're that organization that has that event once a year, right? Oh my gosh, we have 2,500 events a year. But I wanted to see, and I said, I need to refill my water bottle anyway, so I stopped in. And the water bottle's really big. I stopped in, and what I saw immediately at the University of Richmond were kind of two sets of people. I saw this group of people with I could tell had some sort of intellectual disability, which I knew nothing about. And then I saw this group of people who were completely connecting with them and completely understanding them and completely forming a bond on commonalities. The commonality of needing respect, the commonality of needing a place, a community. And that was magic, magic. So, I meant to give you a caveat, 2 caveats. I'm not as smart as Dan, first of all, so my presentation will be different. And secondly, I sometimes lose it when I talk about love. So if I do, I'll apologize now, but not later. I feel things deeply. And so went for the American Heart Association to Special Olympics, Virginia. Soon after I was at that event at University of Richmond, this is back in the days when want ads were in the paper, there was a position. So I interviewed, and I've been there since for 36 years. I've done all the jobs. This is something, people talk about Special Olympics and, oh, isn't that cute? And it is. It's wonderful. We have beautiful people. And I'll read this because I know it's difficult to see in the back. Special, exceptionally great, important, unique. Special is something to strive for, the ultimate compliment, a word we can all hope to be called, not for the things we cannot do, but for all the things that we can. That's what Special Olympics does. We helped to create the possibility, to help people create their own possibility. What is possible when you're told you can't get a college degree, get a job, live on your own, all the things. Our athletes say, watch me, right? Watch me. I'm going to. They prove that wrong day in and day out. And I get to go to work and see this every day. Love that. Who doesn't love the joy that this brings? The joy is throughout our organization, joy and kindness. Our athletes are so excited about having the platform to bring their best, having the opportunity, having the community support them, and doing it in ways that empowers them in other places, not just on the soccer field or on the basketball court. I brought a golf ball because it's the smallest one we have. We have golf balls and soccer balls and basketballs, but we have these throughout. Many people don't know, but the color red is the color of empowerment from a global standpoint. So many of our branding is red. But on this ball and all the others, it says play unified. Whenever I say the word unified, that's when people with and without disabilities work together. On a soccer field, on a basketball team, at a job, we work together and learn from and with each other. So these people just want opportunity. Lily Kuhn, who is now about 30, taught me the love of anticipation and the love of joy. Back when we were at the University of Richmond for summer games many years ago now, Disney was there shooting some promotional pieces, and they interviewed Lily quite a bit. They followed her. And often our athletes will get asked, well, what sports do you play and what's your favorite sport? And so they said, so Lily, what's your favorite sport? And without a millisecond and with the largest smile in the world, she said, my favorite sport is always the one I get to do next. Oh my gosh, I saw Lily 3 weeks ago and I said, you know what my favorite quote is? She said, my favorite, and she went right into it. I love Lily. She taught me how to love what's next and what can be next and the possibility of what's next. Grace Ann Braxton has taught me certainly the love of grace, but Grace Ann has been the world's best women's golfer in Special Olympics for decades. She's won in Shanghai and in Greece and LA and Pyeongchang and all over the place. She lives in Fredericksburg. She's an incredible golfer. Last year, she was inducted into the Virginia State Golf Hall of Fame. Not the Special Needs Hall of Fame, the Virginia State Hall of Fame. She's going to be the what do you call it in a parade? Not master of ceremony, but at the Fredericksburg. She just called me this afternoon and told me. So she teaches me every time. Incredible athlete, incredible woman, incredible inspirer. Oh, Nick Zwering lives here in Richmond or Chesterfield. Actually, he lives over at Faison. He has run nonstop every day. He has run for 3 full years, every single day, everywhere. He had COVID twice, but he ran through it. And he said Special Olympics has taught him many things, but nothing like perseverance. Nick has taught me the love of perseverance, the love of, in his case, fitness. I need to do more of that, but Nick is an incredible human in that same way. Oh my gosh, so many friends. Chris Nickage. I want to point out the 1%, if you can see it, 1% better on his shirt. Chris is an athlete from Florida who's a friend. And Chris was born with Down syndrome. He had some heart issues early on. And he's one of the athletes, like so many, who said, okay, this is what I'm working with. I'm going to keep moving forward. Chris is the first person with Down syndrome to run an Ironman, which is 112 miles riding and a swim and a marathon. And he's run multiple races. And when he's asked how he does it, Chris says, I strive to be 1% better the next time I try. 1%. Doable goals. Chris has taught me the love of working on your ability to get better every time. Wow. Brittany Taglerini is one of our athletes, obviously a tennis player. We hold an event at Boar's Head for the top tennis players in Special Olympics. And it's designed to bring in those athletes and to help them encourage all of us to get fitter and get better. And she came one year and did pretty well. She came back next year after seeing what others had done, and she was a beast on the court. It was incredible. She had worked out and she had really just improved herself. So Brittany has also taught me the love of taking on challenges, embodying them, and moving forward, and the empowerment to do that. Karen Dickerson is one of a marathoner who lives up in Northern Virginia. She's also running Greece and China and other places with our World Games. Karen's goal is to run a marathon in every state of the United States. So far, she's up to about 42. And so Karen, again, don't tell me I can't do it. Let me show you that I can. She's shown me also the love of perseverance and the love of just stick-to-itiveness. Oh, Trajan. You hear me talk about these athletes. These are my friends. Trajan Singletary, told you, went with us this summer to the Berlin Games, and he's from Norfolk. Trajan's story is amazing. I mean, he has grown up in a situation that really, it was really good for him to find Special Olympics. Special Olympics has given him that community. Special Olympics has given that support. He'd not traveled before. He came to my board meeting a few months ago and spoke, and they understood the impact and the power of what we're doing. Trajan's an amazing person, and talk about kindness and love. He embodies that. The love of persistence. This little girl obviously is trying to get that basketball up into the hoop. I don't know her personally, but I've always loved this. She's like, I'm going to make this happen, and I think this one, she made it happen, and it came back down to her. This looks like a big undertaking for this young man, but he has been out there and he has continued, again, the persistence and the possibility of having a community around him and working. I'm going to skip a couple of these. I just like to show the joy of these people that are athletes and the fun that they're having. This was down at our USA Games, and she was so excited to come into the stadium and be welcomed by a community. We have something called fans in the stands because who wants to compete in a stadium that's empty? So I was in Japan at the games and every stadium was full. And I'm like, how do you do this? Like, we have volunteers come. That's their job. Come and cheer, right? We do it. And it's so much fun. And you can see Kathy's reaction to that. Something we do, love of health and love of taking care of some disparities that we see. Special Olympics athletes, or those with intellectual disabilities, I should say, you can see are 2 times more likely to be obese, 2 to 4 times less likely to be physically active, 5 times more likely to have diabetes, 2 times to have cardiovascular disease or asthma, with a life expectancy, and this is the one that gets me, of 20 fewer years. So a lot of that is because healthcare does not reach them in the way that it should. They have access to healthcare, but often it's the clinicians who maybe aren't able to work with those athletes, communicate with those athletes. So we're bridging that gap, and I love being able to bridge that gap. We work with our clinicians in multiple disciplines, vision and dentistry and podiatry and mental wellness, and train them in ways, and we're working to get into more medical schools because right now, the training that medical students get in dealing with those with intellectual disabilities is about 3.5 minutes from what I'm told. It's not much. So we're trying to bridge that. And we did bridge it for Robert Harris, an incredibly strong man who obviously is a power lifter, went to our USA Games down in Orlando, and has incredibly bad dental health. I should say had incredibly bad dental health. We took him and helped him address that, and we're doing that with athletes across. We love being able to bridge those disparities. You can see this is what we do. At our summer games, we have multiple disciplines and clinicians who come and take care of our athletes. I love it when people of influence use that influence for good. Whether you're Steven Spielberg or Stevie Wonder or John Bon Jovi or Quincy Jones or Muhammad Ali, I love it when those people and these people, all of these gentlemen have done that. They've partnered with us. They've helped us use their influence. They've leveraged their influence for good, and I love that. Also love it when people like Department of Education Secretary Miguel Cardona recognizes that one of our Richmond schools is doing an amazing job of unifying a school, of changing the culture, of making it a culture where there's respect, where there's inclusion, where there's substantially less bullying, where there's an understanding in both directions. So he came down and we celebrated this over at Belmead. He came down and celebrated with us. So I love when people like that recognize and celebrate. This is from that school. Again, we do something called feet meets. It's when athletes with intellectual disabilities work with those without. And I often go in a stealth mode when I go. I don't wear a logo, I don't wear a name tag because I just kind of want to watch. I want to hear. And so I go and I listen. Sometimes at high schools and we have football players come in or whatever team, and I can hear them going, I don't know how to communicate with someone with disability. Kind of like when I rode into University of Richmond. I don't know what to expect. And like my experience, within about a minute, that bridge is built. That fear of difference is gone. That understanding of commonalities is built. And that support of each other in both directions is amazing. I get to do this every day. I love what I do. So I love building those connections, especially with our young athletes. At this age, parents need community. Athletes need community. So our young athletes addresses that. They come out, they partner with other people in their communities and learn. I love that we can build community. And it's just a beautiful thing. Oh my gosh. I love the partnerships we have. Obviously, Special Olympics partners with organizations. We're one of the organizations sanctioned to use Olympics in our name. We partner a lot with our law enforcement. I was in Chicago with them a couple of weeks ago, and since its inception, they announced that they have raised over $1 billion for Special Olympics globally. Now, that's great, but it's also great that they are in every community like we are. It's also great that they want to make every community better. So we work together in those ways and celebrate those things. I love empowering our athletes to find and share their voice. This is Nayeli Rivera. She's one of our global messengers. I'll be actually training them this weekend. But when an athlete comes to us and needs to find his or her voice, and we help them do that, and then give them the platform to share it, again, it is magic to see them lean into themselves, understand themselves, and help others understand what's going on. They go with us up onto Capitol Hill and advocate with us. And I love those meetings because I just introduce and I shut up and I let our athletes lead the way. Frank Stevens, one of our athletes who is a global messenger, he, back in 2008, there was a presidential debate including President Obama. Actually, he wasn't quite president at that point, but there was a political commentator who called, and I'm sorry to use this word, but it's going to illustrate, who called President Obama retarded. That's a dirty word in our world. And Frank didn't like it. Frank didn't like it one bit. So he wrote a letter to the editor. It got posted. And overnight, Frank got 2.8 million hits on that. And he said, the commentator was Ann Coulter. He said, Miss Coulter, I'm sorry that you chose to call Mr. Obama that name. People who are grouped with people like me should wear that as a badge of honor. Nobody has dealt with more, nobody has a deeper understanding. And he said, I've made 2.4 or 2.8 million friends overnight. I hope I can make you one more. Man of grace. Oh my gosh. Naisha Derera is a friend from Zimbabwe. His story is not unlike many. He had very little growing up. He was told that he could never do anything. He has led on international stages. Obviously, I saw him in Berlin as well, but he's one of the group of international global messengers that I've had the real privilege of working with. He's working on a degree at the university in Zimbabwe as we speak. This is the full group. I love working with this group. I've done it, it changes every couple of years, but worked with the same group since 2002. And I love the power and the voice that they bring. Theirs is a message of kindness. Theirs is a message of respect, of inclusion, of unity. And there's nothing there that is hard to love. David Egan, an incredible swimmer, one of the athletes who is a global messenger. I love the power of his perseverance as well. He, as you can see, wrote a book, More Alike Than Different. He also was the first person with intellectual disabilities to earn the Joseph P. Kennedy Fellowship on Capitol Hill and spent a year working there. He does not understand the word no, and he just keeps driving and driving. Just like Loretta Claiborne, who is an internationally known athlete. She is 70 years old. She has run 50 marathons. She speaks 5 languages. She has a black belt. She got an ESPY, and she, I saw her in Chicago, just having the chance to spend time with her just exudes the message of, again, watch me. We can do this, and we can do this together. She's an incredible example of that, and just, again, a person who's worked very hard to get where she is. We build communities of respect. That's what we do in schools. We build communities of support. We want people to cheer each other on, and that's what they do. So many of the communities that we build, like here in school, I'm sorry, it went the wrong way. How do I go back? Oh, that one is not doing it. That's going the wrong way. There we go. We work hard in our schools to make sure those with and without disabilities are included in this process because, again, this two-sided equation is what it's about. So many people tell us, particularly donors, I did some development for a while, still do, of course, as president of Special Olympics, but many times we'll hear, for the first few times I gave you a gift, I was so happy that I could help them. It's so great that I can do this for them, those athletes. And then once they come to an event, they're like, man, I had this completely backwards. I'm getting so much more back from just having an opportunity to interact with that. So I love the chance that we get to educate and empower each other in that way. Talked about David already. I am going. There we go. So we are a community of encouragement, as you can see. Hopefully you can hear that we encourage people to bring their A game to everything they do. Not only do our athletes dispel the myth that they can't, they prove what's possible for them. And they say, watch me, but then they also say, follow me, right? So follow what I'm doing, follow my example. We have, in Virginia, 21,000 examples of kindness and love and understanding and respect and inclusion. Now, not all rose-tinted glasses. There's some people who aren't that way, don't get me wrong. But as a culture, we're very, very fortunate that we have that. And I am extremely honored to be able to lead the organization in the state of Virginia in that way. So we also like to have fun and do some wacky things. I love fun. So this is something we do up at Dulles Airport. We have a mile of the tarmac at Dulles Airport. And we have teams raise money, raise awareness, to see who can pull that plane 15 feet the fastest, right? And there's an air show, and there's a car show, and there's activities, and then we have a school bus pull for the kids and all that. But we like to do crazy things, and it's fun. It's a fun way for us to get people's attention. And once we can get their attention, we can help them. We can welcome them into the world of Special Olympics and welcome them into the world of that respectful, inclusive, and unified place that we call Special Olympics. So we love to do those things. We are always serious. This is called our polar plunge. We have 5 polar plunges in Virginia. This is the one down at Virginia Beach. And what I love about this is the community comes out. You can see some costume contests going on there. The teams come down there. They are so enthused to jump into freezing water in February and to pay us for it. But they do it, and I've heard over and over again, I will do it for the athletes. I will do it for the athletes because they have made that impression on me. They have taught me the lessons that we're talking about. I work in a pretty, well, sometimes I live there. I work in a pretty cool place, and then I get to spend time with these people with these messages. Always serious. That's me the other day. No. And this is yet another a polar plunge. Now, this is polar plunge, but one thing I really love is empowering and working with young leaders and reaching people when they are in school. We talked a little bit earlier about when we do those feet meets. On the day before our big polar plunge at the beach, we have something called a Cool School Challenge. And so students come down, they get their own day to run into the ocean. We get a chance to get to know them, they get a chance to know us. And over and over and over again, after I've been there for 36 years, I know people who were in school and now they're adults, but I hear that impressed me. The involvement with Special Olympics impressed me, and I love that we're having that kind of impact. Our young professional boards, we have 3 young professional boards in Virginia, and because I've been there 36 years, I know a few things about how the organization works. I never want to be complacent. So I've challenged them, I've challenged everybody to bring fresh eyes and ears, and they are just killing it. They're bringing such amazing ideas and bringing such energy. I love that we are empowering that part of our team to do that for us, and that our culture is such that we're really eager to hear the ideas and adopt the ones that work. I love empowering our athletes to have jobs. It's not our first part of our mission, and I know you're going to hear more about this later, but it is something that we want, because as our athletes are saying, watch me, I can't do that, watch me and follow me. We are part of finding some opportunities for them. This is a partnership we have with the Hyatt. Having a job is important to all of us. It's part of our identity often. Our athletes many of them are incredible employees. for many of the reasons we've talked about, but also for just their commitment and their dedication to being their best. And so I love when we can be part of that. This is an amazing partnership we have with United Airlines. If you ever fly through Dulles or Chicago or Denver or Houston, look for these co-branded Special Olympics and United. These are Special Olympics service ambassadors. And because we want our athletes to be more in the public, have more of a public face and to have a chance to interact, this person here, Jill Mills, who's actually on my board, she's a chief pilot for Washington. And she and her company at United said, we need to find a way to include those with special needs on our team so that we can help spread that mutual understanding. Again, it's all about helping people overcome the fear of difference, right? Whatever that difference is. We're about Special Olympics. At Special Olympics, we're about those with disabilities, but really our overarching goal, and the thing that drives me every day, the overarching goal is dispelling or is getting rid of those fears, creating the culture, creating the space where you can love someone who's different. You can understand someone who's different. Not only understand them and not only accept them, but really embrace who they are and be empowered by that. There's so much power there. So these, Sophia and Maggie and John and Colin are the 4 at Dulles who work there, and they service all travelers from all airlines. So if you go there, go introduce yourself. I promise you'll be happy that you did. Emily Bauer works in our office. We hire several Special Olympics athletes around we have 5 offices in the state. We hire several athletes in that way. She is one of those athletes who was a global messenger, and I kid you not, her first message was, "Hi, I'm Emily Bauer," right? Very shy. Today, go ahead, try to have a short conversation with Emily Bauer. She's amazing. She's on our staff. She started her own walking club. She's just, I love that long view empowerment of Emily and others. Another thing that I love, and this may make me might make me cry a little bit, but I love that we offer opportunities for parents to be proud of their kids in ways that sometimes they have not had that same opportunity. You can see the pride and the joy on these parents' faces. Rich Wolf and Jonathan Wolf there competed down at the World Games, and he just was so proud of Jonathan. Jonathan is basically nonverbal, and he had just really had grown through the experience. And in that way, teaching our kids the power of love, the power of acceptance, the power of inclusion is a beautiful thing. Here's another example of Michele and her mom. And these are my boys. I've had the great opportunity to teach them. This was a couple of years ago. This was a couple fewer years ago. He has been through a PhD program, by the way. But I've had the great opportunity because of my job at Special Olympics for them to see, for them to experience, for them to be part of. And I encourage all of you to find somewhere that does that for yourself and for others, because there is nothing like it. Again, I go to work every day happily. My team is great. They're sticking around for a long time, 28 years on average. That's not bad. Of course, we have a lot of newer employees, but it's a beautiful thing for us to do that. So I just want to close with this video.
People look at you. They stare. They all stare. They point at you. They shout things. They make you feel different. It's fantastic.
I love that video.